I would like to call the May 21st, 2025 meeting of the City of Avondale Planning Commission to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Pineda?
Present.
Commissioner Guzman?
Present.
Commissioner Benson?
Present.
Commissioner Grimm?
Present.
Commissioner Jewell?
Present.
Chair White?
Present.
Vice Chair McBurney has an excused absence for tonight.
Thank you. Has everyone reviewed the minutes of the March 19th, 2025 meeting? And are there any corrections? Hearing and seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion on the minutes. Motion by Benson, second by Commissioner. I missed who seconded it. Please vote. Minutes have been approved unanimously. Staff, may I have a report on item, I guess we have bond election information, item 4.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Katie Gregory. I am an Assistant City Manager here at the City of Avondale, and I'm sort of taking a little bit of a lead on the election, the propositions that are going to be on the ballot for the City of Avondale related to a general obligation bond election in November. So I'm going to share a little bit of information. I've been sharing information with the community, with staff, and I haven't had a chance to get in front of the Commission yet, so I'm excited to be here tonight and share this with you. So this fall, we will be holding a special election. The City Council has approved for us to forward 2 questions to our voters. Those questions are related. The first one is Prop 404 is what it's called, and that invests in parks, trails, and libraries. And Proposition 405, which invests in public safety. So as we look at these are 2 propositions that will be on the ballot and will be and have been part of an ongoing discussion with our Citizens Bond Committee. So last November, we formed a Citizens Bond Committee made up of 7 members of the community plus 2 alternates, and they met with us and we discussed capital projects, where we are with some of our capital projects. We discussed some of the prior bond elections that we've held here at the city, which our last, just for your information, our last general obligation bond, which is what this will be, was held in 2007. So it's been a number of years since we've gone to the voters to request any funding for a general obligation bond. They learned about our financial condition and where we are and how we've spent not only the bond money that we got authorized back from 2007, but also how we've used our financial capacity that we've had over the years with all the growth that we've had, and how we use the different funds to really secure a lot of the improvements that you've seen over the last few numbers of years has really been with cash or with impact fees or other ways for us to fund. We haven't gone to the voters for general obligation bonds. Though that committee forwarded to the council those 2 questions and those amounts. And what's important about those 2 amounts is that those are 2 amounts, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, that do not require any property tax increase. So we can bring forward this election, or these 2 propositions, and what we're sharing, and I'll show it to you in a little bit, is that it will not require a future increase to our secondary property tax rate or the city's property tax rate. Okay? And that recommendation was unanimously accepted by the City Council, which then we moved it on to Maricopa County, got our proposition numbers, and here we are. We're off and running. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's in Prop 404. Again, I mentioned this is parks, trails, and libraries, and really it's to design, construct, improve, and acquire. And what the question is we're asking, can we get $68 million in authorization to go and fund some of these projects that we've identified, and that the committee has indicated they believe would be good assets for the community and things that the voters would be interested in. So the first one is new park shade and shade expansion, park and parking improvements, trail system improvements, and civic center library improvements. So let's talk a little bit about those. The first one with new park shade and expansion and shade expansion. We have a lot of amenities in our community that are wonderful amenities. You've seen new parks go up, new community parks. We've got Alomar, Festival Fields, Friendship Park, and all of our various neighborhood parks that we have in the community. And all of them have amenities and assets, whether it's play structures, whether it's ball fields, whether it's people who are wanting to visit those facilities. But some of the amenities don't get used as much because it's hot, because Arizona's hot. And so one of the number one things that came up on both our Parks and Recreation Master Plan and in the polling that we did when we did a little bit of election polling prior to us bringing it forward to council, park shade was the number one request by our residents. So I see a few heads nodding. It sounds like many of you might agree with that. So what we're looking at is putting shade. So as we renovate parks, whether they're older parks or newer parks, or we look for opportunities where we can add shade to places that are really going to help deal with some of the demand we have on those parks. We have high demand times, and we want people to be able to use the facility during the day versus having to come in at night. So we're looking at places like, you can see some examples here, Festival Fields, the softball fields for the spectators who are there. We have multiple leagues and games going on there every single week, and spectators sometimes are braving the sun out there, or bringing their pop-up canopies, those kinds of things. So we want to look at putting some shade there. We have some shade here at Friendship Park, maybe do some airnasiums to kind of cover basketball courts or things like that so that we have the ability to be out there for a variety of uses, whether it's playing basketball or doing some other things. At Alomar Park, we've talked about the basketball facilities and the fitness court. There's a beautiful fitness course there, but it's not covered currently, and that can get very hot during the day. And then over here in some of our commercial areas, like at the boulevard here, we have the splash pad and the little lake there, and there's some amenities there too. So putting some amenities in there. The next item is park and parking improvements. One of the things that the Citizens Committee said was that some of our existing parks, neighborhood parks, really need a little bit of attention, and that the voters would probably really appreciate if we went in and put a little TLC in those areas and tried to upgrade the amenities, maybe put in some more modernization into those facilities, look at doing some turf reduction for sustainability reasons, and really focused on some of those parks. So some that came up were Las Ligas Park and Fred Campbell Park, as well as some parking improvements at Friendship Park for those who are there in the evenings with all the softball games and all the other activities going on there, and with only one entrance and exit out of that facility, sometimes it can take a while to get in or out of that facility. So we're looking at creating another parking area and another place for people to enter and exit. And then Festival Fields Park, looking at doing some improvements there to some of the play areas and some of the amenities there, make them more ADA accessible, some other things like that. We also discussed trail improvements. I'm showing this map here. This kind of shows you what our existing trails are today. And you can see that with few exceptions, they don't all connect. And so one of our real challenges in the city is that we have this beautiful north-south Agua Fria River, and we have the Gila River on the south end of town. And we have some real opportunities to kind of create connections so that people can go from one part of the city all the way to the other part of the city. So you might be able to go all the way from, our goal is to try to go, at least with this bond election, is to go from Indian School Road along the river all the way down to Festival Fields Park, if not further. Some of these trail amenities we get through development, as you see when development comes through and they build little sections of trail along the river. If they're adjacent to the river, they may be building sections of trail. You might see a trail right now south of MC85 as you look south on the river right there, and you see what we call the trail to nowhere right now because there's no connection to it yet. It goes south, but it doesn't go north. So some of those things. So these are some of those major connections that we're looking to try to do. In addition to those trail connections, we're also looking at creating some trailheads and what I'd call those underpasses, those safe crossings where we have major roadways like MC85, like Lower Buckeye, where we can do some underpasses or ways for people to get along the trail without having to be in conflict with any of the traffic that's on the main streets. So we're looking at opportunities like that. Trailheads. There's a bridge, I think maybe many of you might know, up by Friendship Park, where the trail kind of ends as you come under the I-10, and you can't get over that really wide drainage channel that's there into Friendship Park. So we're looking at a bridge there as well that will help, a pedestrian bridge that will help people get along the trail there. So ultimately, we do have a plan for parks, for trails, and this would kind of show you what that final build-out is. We do not believe we can do all of this with what we're asking for in the bond election, but some of this will occur as development occurs in the community, and as well as future projects that may be coming along as SR 30 gets built and some of the other things that are happening throughout the city. The last project related to that was the Civic Center library improvements. We have a wonderful campus here. We have a library that's been here for 20 years. We have over 40,000 visitors a year, and it's time for a little bit of a refresh over there. And so we have some funding that was sort of identified as needed for the library. Again, libraries were a very highly prized amenity by our residents in the master plan and in the polling that we did. People really enjoy the library system that we have here in the city. And some of you may know that we recently the library on Western, help me with the name? Sam Garcia, sorry. The Sam Garcia Library recently got some upgrades and some improvements. Similarly, we'd like to do that here at the Civic Center Library. All right, that was Prop 404. Prop 405 is really related to public safety. Again, we want to be, the question is broad. We want to be able to design, acquire, equip, and construct fire stations, police facilities, all of those, and court facilities, things like that. So the projects that were identified there were a Southern Avondale police or fire station and police substation, new public safety headquarters, a police firearms training facility, and then the last two are basically build-outs of our existing main police station here on campus and our city court expansion to get us to kind of the build-out. So I'm going to go through those real quick. Again, we want to do this because we really want to improve our service, our overall service delivery, and our public safety. So the Southern Avondale Fire and Police Station, we do have this fire station programmed when we are working on it currently in design. It's currently in design. What we know is that we don't have quite enough construction dollars to finish off the project. But we are using impact fees to pay for a good portion of the project because we've been collecting impact fees for this purpose for quite some time. We just haven't collected enough with the cost of building. But the idea would be that this particular fire station would be down. We had some land that was donated to the city as part of the Alamar. Some of you may have been on the council or on the commission when that was approved, but Alamar does have a location for a fire station for the city. What's really important, if you look at that map on the fire side, it really kind of rounds out our southern portion of the city and allows us to keep all of our other crews and apparatus in their first due area. Right now, if there's an incident in the southern part of the city, it usually is pulling one of those crews and apparatus from one of the other fire stations, which begins that whole shift so that there's coverage across the city. This will really help with our complete coverage of the city and improve our overall response times. Additionally, on the police side, you can see that Beat 8, which you see down there, which is really kind of our southern area, is one of our largest areas to patrol. Not requiring them to have to go further up north to come to a substation to do the work or to do some of their paperwork and the other things that they have to do, and having a spot kind of a little bit closer in southern Avondale keeps them within their beat, number one, and allows them to be able to respond more directly from those locations. So we really feel that that's an important project that is moving forward, but we still need some additional funding to finish the project. The new public safety headquarters currently at the city, we have a very decentralized sort of public safety. We have fire sharing the space over with IT over at the Raceway building. We have a lot of our campus security is located here in this building, and we have our code compliances wherever they can find space, quite frankly. And so, we have a lot of disjointedness in some of that, and we'd like to bring all of those together. We are a growing community. We've grown over 23% since the last bond election. We went from, I think it was 79,000 to now we're almost 100,000 people. And our services are being, in our space to provide all the services and to provide the staffing and all of the things that we need and our coordination of all of that. We want to make sure we're not just putting people in spaces because we have them, but really thinking through what needs to be here and how do we put all that together. So it's a proposal for a 15,000 square foot building to bring all of those public safety needs together. This one is an interesting one. If you're not aware, we take our training of our police officers very seriously. Specifically, they are required on a regular basis to have firearms training, whether it's day training or night training, and they have to get qualified regularly in their firearm training. Right now, how we manage that is that we are in a shared joint agreement with Glendale and the Grip Stick. We call it the Glendale. It's the Glendale Training Center, but it's in Glendale. And it serves the whole West Valley, many of the communities in the West Valley, not all of them, but many of the communities in the West Valley. And what's happened with all the growth that's occurred in the West Valley is that finding available time in the times that we need it, when people are on shift, or when they need to do day training versus night training, we're really starting to see that squeeze. And so the idea here is to build our own firearms training, where our officers would have the ability to stay in Avondale, not have to travel outside the city, but stay in Avondale, get their firearm training done as they need to within the schedule that they can get that works for them, and then still be available in the case of an emergency or needing to head out or stay within the area. So that's kind of the idea around this, and this is something that is really important to our public safety groups. And then the last two are related to the police station here on campus and the court. When we built the original police station, we built it for some growth. So we had put in a lot of the systems and setup and structural pieces so that we could grow the facility. We're at the point now where we need to use that space. So both with the police station and with the court, we're looking to expand out to build out so that we have those facilities available as we've grown as a community and as we continue, and so that we have room to grow into the next 10, 20 years. And that's court expansion. You can see there we have people actually working in the file room, trying to build out cubicles in the file room. So, we're just running out of space. So, as I mentioned before, these two questions, these Prop 404 and 405, the way that we would structure how we would do this is we would not increase the property tax rate. The city's property tax rate would stay the same or stay stable. We would not be increasing it. How do we do that? Well, this kind of gives you a little bit of a visual of how that works. So you can kind of see here our current, if you kept the property tax rate current, as you see, the orange bar in here is the debt that gets paid down. So as we pay down debt from prior issuances, we generate a little bit of capacity in the early years and a little bit more as you go further out, where we have the ability to issue additional debt, but not change that tax rate. So we're working within that. That's kind of our ceiling. So that is the projected plan for this for both of these two issuances, and that is why the number is 68 million and 55 million, is because that's how far we could go. We could have probably had more projects that would have been more than that, but the truth is we wanted, and the council was very clear that they do not want to be increasing tax rates for our residents. So that is why we were there. That looks funny. But right there where that arrow is splitting, that's Avondale. This is our debt per capita. And really this just shows kind of that overall as a community, we carry very low debt. We have way more capacity than we have debt. And so when you compare across a number of other cities in the metro area, and particularly when you look at some of the other West Valley cities, we do a really good job of managing and paying for things without debt as much as we can until we can't. So the other thing that is really important is that we have very good bond ratings. As a community the size of Avondale, with all of the things that come into bond ratings includes what kind of consumer base do you have? What kind of sales tax do you generate? What is your demographics? What's your valuation in your homes and in your community and in your businesses? Do you have a good mix of all the different types of industries in the community so that when you do have a downturn, you have the ability to sustain and maintain? And so they look at all those things. A AAA bond rating is the best rating we can have. What does that mean for us? if the bond election gets approved and we have the ability to go out to the markets and sell bonds, we'll get the best interest rate, meaning we'll pay the lowest interest rate that we can get for whatever time that is when we're issuing debt. But that's a really good thing for this community, and this is the first time we've been a AAA rated community, which really speaks highly to the kind of financial discipline that this community has had over the last 10 years or so. So the other thing to let you know is that this is a vote by mail election. What does that mean? It means that you get the ballot in the mail and you have to return it either through the mail or at the one ballot box that we'll have here at City Hall. So we are encouraging everyone to vote. I can't tell you how to vote. I just would love it if you would all vote and if you would tell everyone to vote. They will be sent out beginning in October 8th, and then we are suggesting that if folks want to mail it back, they should have it in the mail by the 28th of October. But if they want to bring it here, they would have up until November 4th to drop it off here at City Hall. So again, if there's anything you remember from this discussion is that we are holding a special election in November. We have two propositions on the election. Proposition 404 is about parks, trails, and libraries. Prop 405 is about public safety. We are doing this without needing to raise any tax rates, and that this is a very financially responsible way for us to do this. I call this intergenerational equity. I've heard that used in the finance world many times in my career, but what that basically means is that the amenities that we can get today through the bond election will be paid for with not only the people that are here today, but the people who are yet to come to Avondale and be part of that. They'll help pay for that as well. They will also get to enjoy the benefit of that, and we're creating community. So those are all things that I just wanted to make sure you had some information on. And I'm happy we do have a website that folks can go to, www.avondaleaz.gov/bond. And I would love to answer any questions you might have. No? I'll stay there.
Thank you very much. Any commissioners have any questions?
Awesome.
No questions. Excellent presentation. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We are now ready for agenda item 5A. If the staff would like to come and present their report, please.
All right, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Tonight I'm presenting item 5A, Avondale 10, rezone application appeal 24-0221. The purpose of this item is to review a proposed rezone for Avondale 10 and forward a recommendation to Council. So the site, it's outlined in red, and it's located approximately 1,284 feet south of the southwest corner of Lower Buckeye Road and El Mirage Road, and it is located in the Las Ligas neighborhood. It is developed with 2 single-family homes and a storage building, and it's around 9.1 net acres in size, and it was annexed into the city limits in 1990. And as you can see, the site is surrounded by single-family homes. So now taking a look at the zoning districts, to the north, west, and the south are properties zoned R16, urban residential, and to the east of El Mirage Road is zoned Cantata Ranch PAD. And then on the right is the general plan land use map. The property is designated as medium density residential, and it is surrounded by properties that are also designated as medium density residential, which is a category that allows for residential uses with a density of 2.5 to 4 dwelling units per acre with a target density of 2.5. So here's a couple photos of the site. The first is looking southeast from Pioneer Street, and the second is looking southwest from El Mirage Road. The request is to rezone the site from R16 to PAD with the underlying R16 zoning with some deviations. The rezone will allow for up to 37 single-family homes with an approximate density of 4 dwelling units per acre. The applicant is requesting to utilize the R16 development standards with the following deviations. The first is to reduce the minimum lot width from 65 feet to 50 feet. The second is to reduce the minimum side yard setbacks and the total side yard setbacks from 18 feet to 13 feet minimum. And then the lot length is being proposed to increase from 100 feet minimum to 115 feet minimum. And now I will walk you through the site plan. So there are 2 access points into the subdivision. So the first is here on El Mirage Road with full turning movements. The second is on Pioneer Street, also with full turning movements, with Pioneer Street ending in a cul-de-sac. Right-of-way will be dedicated along both roads, and Pioneer Street is not required to connect to El Mirage Road. There'll be a park in the southwest corner of the site. There's 2 linear paths here with some benches in the 2 landscape tracks. There'll also be a trail on the north end of the property that will lead to a sidewalk on El Mirage Road. 16.7% open space is proposed. And then these red lines here represent where 6 to 8 foot high theme walls are proposed. This is a closer look at their amenity area. It includes a tot lot, swings, ramada, and picnic table, as well as some fitness nodes. So in terms of the analysis, staff is in support of the rezone because the request will result in compatible development to the existing uses in the area. As I previously mentioned, the site is surrounded by single-family residential homes with similar densities. The project will meet the R16 standards with the requested deviations from the side setbacks and the lot width and depth. The rezoning does meet all of our required findings to rezone to PAD, which are listed in the staff report. The project is consistent with goals in our general plan, most notably assess and implement methods requiring new residential developments to incorporate specific amenities and designate a specific amount of open space for common use by neighborhoods. So this project, as I mentioned, it does have recreational amenities and it does exceed the open space requirement in the zoning ordinance, and it also has usable open space in accordance with our single-family residential design manual. Lastly, it is consistent with the goals in the specific area plan for Old Town, Cashin, Las Ligas, and Rio Vista. So one goal that it meets is including increasing the residential density in the Las Ligas area to support the nearby Old Town District and Buckeye Road business areas. And I just wanted to note that the feasibility study in that specific plan, it mentions that vacant parcels scattered throughout the Las Ligas areas are most appropriate for continued residential investment. So in terms of the architecture, a minimum of 3 elevations will be provided with a mix of 1- and 2-story homes, and these are an example of these elevations. They will be reviewed administratively by staff and will need to meet all of the requirements in our single-family residential design manual. The site is within the Avondale Elementary School District and also the Tolleson Union High School District, and both schools have indicated that there is sufficient capacity. The official neighborhood meeting was held in February of this year. There were 2 attendees. There was also a pre-neighborhood meeting on October 22nd of last year with 5 attendees. The discussion topics from both meetings included drainage of the site, the current use of the property, view corridors, and the improvement of Pioneer Street. The city's Avondale Connect platform received 1 comment in support of the project. And with that, staff recommends approval of application PL 24-0221 Avondale 10, a request for a rezone from R16 urban residential to planned area development, PAD, with the 6 recommended conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Do any commissioners have questions for staff?
I have a question.
Go.
I saw one of the citizen concerns was flooding. Do you know if that is in a flood? Well, actually, there's no, we don't have a map, right, that we can actually see if there's a flood, if that's in a flood zone or not?
Thank you, Chair White and Commissioner Pineda. I don't believe the site's in a floodplain. Our engineering staff did take a look at the preliminary grading and drainage plan, and they will take a look at it again when we review the pre-plat for this project.
I'm kind of assuming that they're talking about that one area that goes kind of down where it tends to flood, so I don't know if this area is the one flooding or where that concern came from that resident.
Thank you, Chair White and Commissioner Pineda. I was not in attendance for that meeting, so I can defer to the applicant. They might be able to answer that question.
Okay, we'll bring that up when the applicant speaks. I have just one question for you, Michelle. You use the term beam wall. If I knew what that means, I've forgotten. Can you describe what a beam wall is? Those red lines you said were beam walls?
Right, Chair White. Those are theme walls.
Oh, theme.
They're the walls that the developer are going to build as part of the project.
Okay, so it's theme, Theme.
Yes.
Okay.
So there'll be 8-foot block walls on El Mirage, and then elsewhere in the site they'll be 6 feet high.
Perfect. I'm sorry, I just misunderstood the word you used. Any other questions for staff? Okay, would the applicant like to address the commission? And please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the Commission, Jessica Sarkisian with Upfront Planning, 1811 South Alma School Road in Mesa, Arizona, 85210. Thank you guys. Michelle did a great job presenting. In regard to the question about the flooding, we did some there. You can see on the north side there's a wide retention area basin that goes up there, and as well as also along El Mirage. We did do some extra study on property to the north because there were concerns about where the water is coming from there, and it was found the water is actually not flowing south, but it's flowing west. So we will catch anything that's falling on our side, but we don't, based on the drainage report, we did extra study on it, and we don't see anything being an issue with this. So. And then if you have any questions, the first neighborhood meeting, we just think this is a really great project for the area. When the first neighborhood meeting, a bunch of residents were really happy to see it in terms of they were excited to possibly be able to afford a house, and they thought we felt this would be something that fit that need on these lot sizes in this area, because a lot of area members in this area were renters. And so we feel this really fits a need and will be a great addition. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Any other questions from commissioners for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. I would like to now open the public meeting for this item. Are there any requests to speak?
Thank you, Chair. We have not received any requests to speak, but if anyone would like to come up to the podium, you may go up and speak.
Hearing and seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. Any other questions from any commissioners? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on this item. Motion by Jewell, second by Pineda. And please vote. Passed by a majority vote of the members present, 6-0. We are now ready to proceed to agenda item 6, commission announcements. Are there any items from any of the commissioners? Agenda item 6, Planning Division report. Does the planning manager have any items to report?
Good evening, Commissioners. And I'd just like to say thank you to our applicant and audience. We look forward to this project moving forward. As far as items for you, I just wanted to mention we do have 2 public hearings that we anticipate for your June agenda. Those will be coming in the few weeks, and the public notices will be going out for that. And for the month of April, I just wanted to report for our data each month. We received 15 new development applications. And that's all I have for you this evening. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. The next scheduled meeting is June 18th, 2025. Look forward to seeing you all there. May I have a motion to adjourn? I think we can do this verbally. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Okay, Commissioner Jewell makes a motion. We need a second.
I second.
And it was seconded by Commissioner Grimm. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.